Boise Greenbelt is a 25-mile-long set of multi-use trails that follow and sometimes straddle both sides of the Boise River. It's John from the Greenway with Mac, and I have an incredible trail to show you today. I've decided to start in downtown Boise, right near Boise State University, which is near the middle of the Greenbelt. I could have ridden about 10 miles southeast to Lucky Peak Dam, but it seemed like there were more things to see by going in the other direction. So what I chose was a 12-mile route to the northwest that ends in the city of Eagle at its farmers market. Our first landmark on the trip is the single thing I knew most about Boise before visiting, and that was Albertsons Stadium and its famous blue turf. The Boise State Broncos play their home games here at Lyle Smith Field, which also hosts the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. The turf is also referred to as the Blue, and it looks like the field is open to visitors from 10 to 4 during the week. Lyle Smith, considered to be the father of Bronco football, was a highly successful college football coach and then athletic director at Boise State. The stadium seats about 36,000 people, and average attendance currently averages just under that. Boise State has about 22,000 students and is considered a commuter school, with 86% of students living off campus. About 2/3 of the students are native to Idaho. Boise State was Idaho's third state university, after the University of Idaho and Idaho State. This journey takes you past some fantastic parks, along a beautiful river, and over, under, and past a ton of lovely bridges. It appears that you're supposed to ride in the street on this section, as there are some painted sharrows and occasionally even a painted bike lane. But if you wanted to do this trip with less confident riders, then I don't think it's a big deal to go slowly on this path to our right, especially as it widens a bit starting right here. This is Friendship Bridge, which takes you to Julia Davis Park. The park is home to Zoo Boise, the Boise Art Museum, the Idaho Black History Museum, the Discovery Center of Idaho, and the Idaho State Historical Museum. If you have seen my other video from downtown, then you could cross this bridge, make a left, and you'll pass the Pioneer Pathway, which is where the other video ended. Another feature of the park is the Solar System Model Trail, formerly known as the Planet Walk. The updated exhibit, managed by the Discovery Center of Idaho, features modern, accessible panels and a more condensed layout. The trail is now a 3/4-mile loop that winds around the tennis and pickleball courts. Each station includes a QR code that links to an audio guide for visitors to use on their phones. Unfortunately for Pluto, the new trail follows current astronomical standards and has removed it as a primary planet. We are about to go under the Capitol Boulevard Memorial Bridge. Apparently locals just call it the Capitol Bridge, but it's good to know the memorial part. It was built in 1931 and designed to honor the pioneers of the Oregon Trail. This is a bike and pedestrian bridge that will take you across the river to the Anne Frank Human Rights Memorial, which is quite unique as it is the only one in the United States. The centerpiece is the Stone of Hope, but the real power is the quote wall. Over 60 quotes from human rights leaders are etched into the sandstone. It was designed by Idaho architect Kurt Karst to be a place of contemplation. The water feature here isn't just pretty, it drowns out the traffic noise from Capitol Boulevard, creating a sonic sanctuary. The Pioneer Footbridge is another opportunity to cross the river and ride on the east side. If you cross here, then you will connect with a park where the Pioneer Pathway ends. I imagine the usefulness of this bridge is for people coming from downtown to access the area on our left, Ann Morrison Park. Ann Morrison Park is a 153-acre urban oasis known as the largest jewel in Boise's Ribbon of Jewels park system. It is most famous as the finish line of the city's iconic summer river float and the launch site for the Spirit of Boise Balloon Classic. The park is the official terminus for those floating in the Boise River from Barber Park. You can catch the floater shuttle here to get back to your starting point. Another fun warm weather activity is the interactive spray fountain, whose central centerpiece features over 60 arcing water jets and colorful LED lighting designed for kids and adults alike. And of course, the park is Fido-friendly. There's a dog island, which is a 5.4-acre off-leash destination in the southwest corner that includes swimming ponds and a dedicated shy dog area. It wasn't built when I was there, but in 2025, the Boise Bicycle Project helped get a traffic garden built. This is an area where people on bikes can interact with an intersection modeled after a roadway with lanes, stop signs, and a traffic circle. It's a safe and contained environment where kids can practice bike safety skills, developing their confidence to one day take to the streets. A few annual events take place here too, the Spirit of Boise Balloon Classic and the 4th of July fireworks. The Boise Balloon Classic is held every Labor Day weekend, and this festival fills the park with over 40 hot air balloons for morning launches and a spectacular evening night glow. And since this is Boise's largest park, it serves as the primary location for the city's official Independence Day celebration, which includes the fireworks. There are lighted baseball and softball fields, tennis courts, and even a cricket ground. The park also has facilities for disc golf, bocce ball, and horseshoes. The park is also part of the Idaho Birding Trail, offering views of migration species along the Greenbelt. I mentioned earlier that this park was part of the Ribbon of Jewels. The Ribbon of Jewels is a collective of 12 riverside parks and preserves in Boise, each named in honor of a prominent woman who significantly shaped the city's history, culture, and community. The Boise River Greenbelt acts as the ribbon that physically connects these jewels along the river corridor. Each park reflects the unique legacy and interests of its namesake, ranging from pioneers and philanthropists to world-class athletes. Other jewels include Julia Davis and Catherine Albertson parks, which we have already passed. The next one we will get to is Esther Simplot Park, which is located next to the Boise Whitewater Park. Google Maps calls this the Boise River Greenbelt Truss Bridge, which is a popular pedestrian and bicycle bridge. Locals refer to it as the Red Bridge, the Railroad Trestle Bridge, or simply the Train Bridge, because it was originally built in 1923 for a Boise branch rail line before being converted for pedestrian use. I read that while it is hazardous, this is a spot where people like to jump into the river in the summertime. The bridge leads to a fire station and the Idaho Fallen Firefighters Memorial Park. Passing under this bridge, we enter Garden City. Garden City is a unique 4-square-mile enclave that is its own municipality, but is completely surrounded by Boise, evolving from an industrial corridor into a vibrant live, work, create hub. For active transportation, it is a city of extremes. It features some of the region's best riverside infrastructure alongside some of the most challenging industrial bad urbanism barriers. You might argue that Garden City is the most bike-friendly suburb of the Treasure Valley due to its dense concentration of riverside amenities. This greenbelt runs the entire length of the city, providing a paved, car-free artery for commuters and recreational riders. The waterfront is home to the Boise Whitewater Park, which has turned an industrial stretch of river into a world-class destination for surfers and kayakers, easily accessible by bike. The Sorrel-Mitchell District, near 34th Street, is the Live, Work, Create area and is a model of successful urbanism, featuring narrow, walkable streets filled with artist studios, craft breweries, and wineries. And in 2024, the city officially integrated Lime e-bikes and scooters into its transportation network, allowing them on the Greenbelt and increasing access for all. But despite its charm, Garden City struggles with legacy infrastructure that creates significant hurdles for active transportation. Chinden Boulevard is a massive state highway that bisects the city. With high vehicle speeds, multiple lanes, and minimal pedestrian crossings, it creates a moat that cuts off the western edge of Garden City. Much of the city is still zoned for industrial use, leading to large blocks of warehouses that lack through streets, forcing cyclists onto busy main roads. But the city is currently undergoing a massive transportation via urban renewal districts. Approved in late 2025, the South of Chinden Urban Renewal Project aims to fund the utility and streetscape upgrades needed to turn the industrial south side into a mixed-use, walkable neighborhood. Recent projects in the city's master plan include adding signalized pedestrian crossings at 38th and Chinden and building out bike lanes on 43rd Street to connect the Boise Bench to the river. I generally enjoyed this section of the Greenbelt as it felt vibrant with the high concentration of restaurants nearby, some of which were taking advantage of the Greenbelt by adding patios. Up ahead, we are going to cross the river to avoid a gap in the Greenbelt a few miles ahead. We will be on this side of the river for about 4 miles before coming back. One of the most unique parts of the Greenbelt is this area, Boise Whitewater Park. This used to be the Thurman Mill Diversion, a low-head drowning machine dam. The city replaced it with pneumatic wave shaper bladders. They can shape the river into a recreational surfing wave instantly. It turned a liability into an economic engine. What I really love about it is that the city built in tiered stone seating right into the banks, which created a natural amphitheater for people to stop, linger, and build community rather than just pass through. This site used to be a literal gravel pit and industrial wasteland. It was the kind of land developers usually ignore or turn into a sprawling parking lot. Instead, the city and the Simplot family undertook a massive engineering project to dig out 23 acres of ponds. But they didn't just dig holes. They created a complex, interconnected aquatic ecosystem that filters water and provides a massive beachhead for the landlocked citizens of Boise. Simplot Park divides Veterans Park and Garden City, but invites neighbors to come together and enjoy the outdoors. For cyclists, it's a high-visibility, low-stress environment. The paths are wide enough to accommodate the 880 demographic, meaning it's safe for an 8-year-old on a scooter and an 80-year-old on a trike. The layout of Esther Simplot is fascinating. It's designed as a series of nodes and corridors. You have Quinn's Pond and the Esther Simplot Ponds. They act as unprogrammed space, areas where people can paddleboard, swim, or fish without needing a permit. The park features bridges and winding paths that weave between the water features. This creates a sense of enclosure and discovery, making a 55-acre space feel like a dozen different microenvironments. Another important component of the park are the shelters. These aren't your typical plastic park sheds. They are built with heavy timber and stone, echoing the rugged Idaho landscape while providing high-quality third places for people to gather outside of work or home. What I think is really cool is how this park acts as a catalyst for density. Because the park exists, new apartments and mixed-use developments are popping up in the area to take advantage of the easy access to green space. People are willing to live in smaller footprints if they have a 55-acre backyard with pristine water. It's a reminder that great public parks aren't just nice to have, they are essential economic engines that prove we don't need cars to have a high quality of life. This feels kind of like the urbanism that is perfect for individuals looking to live car light and still have great access to natural resources. As we continue north, you can choose either side of Boise Cascade Lake. All of the remaining parks that are part of the Ribbon of Jewels are located south of where we began this journey. and as you can see, we have entered an unpaved portion of the Greenbelt. I wanted to show you Esther Simplot Park, but if you were looking to stay on a paved trail, then you could ride on the other side of the river, as this section has trails on both sides. The trees here are cottonwoods and willows, older and wilder, and providing a canopy that drops the temperature another 5 degrees or so. This path takes you east to Veterans Memorial Park, another dog-friendly green space with trails, playgrounds, and monuments honoring the park's namesake. Boise's success is strengthened by partnerships with organizations such as Boise State University, the Boise Bicycle Project, and various public health agencies, aligning transportation planning with broader community well-being goals. Recently, Boise was promoted to a gold-level bicycle-friendly community, which reflects the city's focus on safety, accessibility, and inclusive mobility. The gold status is awarded from the League of American Bicyclists. Vision Zero commitments and the Ada County Highway District's Livable Streets performance measures ensure bike infrastructure is designed for all ages and abilities. Additional initiatives, such as the Adaptive Recreation Program and Safe Routes to School, expand cycling opportunities. Public input plays a crucial role in the BFC evaluation process, and survey results from Boise highlight a growing demand for improved bicycle facility maintenance. Addressing these concerns could further enhance Boise's active transportation network and set the stage for a future platinum level designation. These fields are part of the Willow Lane Athletic Complex. The 57-acre complex has several softball fields, a soccer field, a playground, and a bike park that we will see in just a minute. Plantation Island is a unique geological feature where the river braids. The path actually hops onto the island via a narrow pedestrian bridge, then off again using another, creatively called the Plantation Island Pedestrian Bridge. And this bridge has a story. In the Snowmageddon winter of 2017, high flows nearly destroyed it. The county had to crane it out, literally flying the bridge away to save it. It was reinstalled in 2019 by the Idaho Foundation for Parks and Lands. It's known locally as the Flying Bridge. We need to cross back over to the west side because the Greenbelt does not continue on the east due to conflicts with the easement. The River Club Golf Club owns the land, and then there's a bicycle dismount area just past it near the Riverside Drive neighborhood. If you're looking to stay moving, then continue with me on the west side. We can't see it, but behind this fence is 240 acres of Garden City land that is going through quite the makeover. For decades, the Boise Fairgrounds have been defined by two things: the Western Idaho Fair and Le Bois Park, a premier horse racing track that operated for over 45 years. The track was a major hub for live horse racing in the Treasure Valley, featuring both thoroughbred and quarter horse racing. It featured a standard 1-mile dirt oval and a grandstand that could accommodate thousands of spectators. The track officially ended live racing operations in 2016 following legislative disputes regarding historical horse racing terminals. The massive plot of land was intensely used for 2 weeks a year and sat largely as a heat island of parking lots and aging barns the rest of the time. Today, the old track and stables are being dismantled as part of a massive redevelopment project. And I'll tell you all about it in a minute because I have a lot to say, but I want to give you a tip about a trail near this location. On the other side of this campground, Boise Riverside RV Park, is Memorial Field, home to the Pioneer League baseball team, the Boise Hawks. The stadium opened in 1989 and holds a little over 3,000 people. You can easily get there from here by taking a dedicated path and crossing a street to get into the stadium's parking lot. Getting back to the fairground redevelopment, the county is transforming the northern portion of the fairgrounds into a large public park that will emphasize river restoration and open green space. The new park will be over 50 acres and is scheduled to open by December 2026 and will feature trails, skate parks, open spaces, and plenty of areas for kids to play. This isn't just a park with some swing sets, it's a restorative urbanist project. They are taking the old, contaminated horse racing dirt and transforming it into some cool amenities that include a multi-use public space, an all-wheel sports garden, and restored wetlands. They are actually carving out the land to reconnect the site to the river's floodplain, and this is soft infrastructure at its best, using the land to manage floodwater instead of concrete pipes. The master plan for the Expo Idaho site includes a network of internal trails that will finally link the neighborhoods south of Chinden directly to the Greenbelt. In addition, a new 3rd Division soccer team is creating a sports park and a soccer stadium that will be one of the best in the West. The team's name, AC Boise, is a subtle nod to Boise's Basque roots, coming from the Basque powerhouse AC Bilbao. And the team is a model for adaptive reuse. They kept the original grandstand from the horse track. It gives the stadium a steep European feel, where the fans are right on top of the pitch. The playing surface is FIFA-certified artificial turf. For a multi-use facility in a high-desert climate, this is a smart move, as it saves massive amounts of water while allowing the field to be used for community events, high school championships, and more all year long. The venue currently seats about 7,000 people, but it will scale up to 15,000 if the club continues to grow. The team is young, and hopefully they will lean into bike culture. I have heard that the team has a bike valet, which makes the Greenbelt an attractive and safe way for fans to arrive. The local supporters group, the River Guard, actually marched from Brown Bear Brewing Company to the new stadium, which makes me really excited to hear that they are developing a culture that leans into the great urbanism that you see on European soccer match days. The Portland Timbers, Seattle Sounders, and St. Louis City SC are just a few of the MLS clubs that have also continued this fun tradition. On this next stretch, we will be biking between homes and the river, so I'm just going to let it run with some music for a few minutes. I suggest crossing back over the river at the West Greenbelt Bridge. The Greenway continues for another 2.5 miles and terminates at Pamela Davis Park. I actually did that section on my first trip and really enjoyed it. Lots of other people were out getting exercise and doing the same for their pups. But in order to get to the town of Eagle, we should cross the bridge. Once again, we are on a section of trail that follows the river and doesn't have much but homes out here either. We have a couple of turns that we need to get right, so stick with me for a minute. Make a left right here. And here we need to make a quick right, then a quick left to continue on the Greenbelt. trail spur goes up to the Lakeside Eagle apartment complex. We are going to keep pushing west. According to the map, this trail is South Edgewood Lane, and this is a car-free section that connects to a car road with the same name. The trail portion also circles the two small lagoons on our right. bridge takes you back across the river and forms a nearly 2-mile stretch where there is a trail that follows each side of it to the west. We will be making a right and going north once we get to Eagle Road, so I stayed on this side. We have technically been in the town for a while, but we really notice it once we turn right on North Eagle Road. Eagle's motto is literally life done right, and if you like the suburbs, then you see that reflected in the land use. Unlike the high-density grid of downtown Boise or the industrial vibe of Garden City, Eagle is all about car-centric design. We are surrounded by a lot of restaurants and shops and other amenities, but thanks to parking minimums, also a sea of parking. The city has that new, commercial, every town in America feel to it, but just like most of those places, there is a lot to be desired once you leave the Greenbelt if you are trying to live car light or car free. The good news is that we are not too far from our destination. There is a trail that runs along the south side of State Highway 44 for miles on each side of us, but I didn't make time to see it on this trip. I appreciate the off-street trail, but I consider 44, a 9-lane stroad, to be the final boss that we must defeat before cruising into Eagle's Main Street. Eagle was founded on golden farming, specifically dairy farming on Eagle Island, but has transitioned into one of the most affluent pockets in the Pacific Northwest. The town manages to maintain a small-town feel, despite exploding from about 350 people in 1970 to over 32,000 today. Eagle has become the destination for the remote work 2.0 crowd. There's been a shift here from the traditional retiree demographic to young families who want the safety of the suburbs, but the trail access of a mountain town. I ran into a little bit of construction on my trip, but this was recorded in October of 2024, so I would imagine that this has all been completed. Oddly, I didn't really mind the construction because it really decreased the amount of traffic on the street, since there was no through traffic. hours and dates can vary from year to year, but in 2026, the Eagle Farmers Market is open from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays from May 2nd to September 26th. There is no market on June 27th and July 4th this year. The City Hall, Public Library, and Museum of History and Preservation are all located here too. If you've made it this far, you are a legend. Thanks for joining me in Boise. I'll see you on the next Greenbelt.